Happy Thursday, everybody. I don't know if my comments are working. I'm not really too sure if they're working tonight. It doesn't look like it. Yep. Okay. Hey, Do. How are you? Have some fun projects to make with colors that I usually don't use. Um, I have, a little bit of this paper around because it's not one of my go-to colors. It's Bumblebee, Daffodil Delight, Cinnamon Cider. Um, the ribbon, which is the Bumblebee, is retiring, and I have a lot of that left, so I'm going to try to use up some of my products. I know the papers aren't. Tonight, if you place a $35 order before tax and shipping using this host code, you'll get the make and takes for these two cards. Plus, I'm going to do the swag bag, which gives you a dozen mulberry flowers, a Stampin' Spot, double-sided tape, foam tape, and this is actually a half a pack of 12 by 12 paper, so it amounts to 24 sheets of 6 by 6. So that will be for placing an order. So let's get started. We'll start with this one first. The only thing I did different tonight is the background of this. To me, it just looks too plain. So I actually ran it through the Big Shot with the Subtles embossing folder, which will be retiring, just to give it a little bit more texture for the front of the card. So that's the only thing I did different. The PDF for this will be in the group tomorrow, probably by noon. So for this card, I'm using the Last a Lifetime stamp set. This stamp set will be carrying over into the new catalog. I also use the detailed bands dies, and let me just check, but I do not think these are carrying over. Just give me 2 seconds so I can take a quick look. No, they are not. They're not carrying over. And this one right here, this is from the detailed bands, so that is not carrying over. And then I use the ornate border die also for and then for the other card, I used the You Are So Special from the Tasteful Touches, and I believe, let's just check. I don't think this one is carrying over, but let me just double check really here. Yes, it is. Maybe it's the Last a Lifetime. Okay, I did get it mixed up. This one is retiring. This one is staying. So this will be in the catalog. This one will not. So let's get started. Just going to grab my scoreboard here. We have our base card, 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score it at 4 1/4. And this is the Bumblebee cardstock. So we're just going to take this and fold it up. I was running late today, and then I tried to get on tonight, and it wouldn't let me on. So that was really weird. So then I'm going to have an additional layer of, let me just grab the right color, this cinnamon cider. And this is, let's just look here. This is 1/4 of an inch smaller. So the layer is 1/4 of an inch smaller. Then I'm going to use a basic white layer, which is also 1/4 of an inch smaller. And then we're going to use a layer of the Daffodil Delight, and this is 1/8 of an inch. And I'm just going to trim this. When you run it through the Big Shot with an embossing folder, it does seem to stretch the paper out a little. So before you go and try to glue everything down, it's always good to check that embossed layer to make sure that it still fits. So let's get these glued down. I'm going to use glue for now. We're just going to layer these layers. You can use stamping seal. I like using glue because it just gives me a little bit of wiggle room. And just center it on the front of your card, making sure it's pretty centered. See, if it's not, the glue just allows you that little bit of wiggle room. And then we're going to adhere the emboss layer. Now when you do your embossing layer, if you are using snail, don't use the snail on your emboss layer because you will tend to flatten it out just a little bit. So it's always good to use glue on your embossed layers. We just want to make sure that this is down. And I'm going to trim this up a little bit, but first, let me just grab a scrap piece of paper because I can see, if you see on the edge, it didn't really adhere. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue and stick it under here. Run some glue along that edge. Then this way we can get it to stick down. Anywhere where you see that you didn't hit that edge really well, that's really all you have to do is use a scrap, stick it underneath, and you're able to just glue that spot down. Just going to trim this a little tiny bit because it's off just a little. I'm going to do this side too. And you can see all I did was take off a little smidge. Okay. I don't know if my comments are working, ladies, so if you do comment and I miss it, it's because they're not showing up again. Okay, so we're going to lay this on the front of the card. Again, try to get it as even as possible. And then that's our front layers. Okay? So then I took another piece of the bumblebee. And this is actually, let me just grab it because I forgot the name. It's from the Fine Art Floral Designer Series paper. And this is, one of the sides. And I'm going to use the yellow. This is also retiring. And we're just going to take this and we're going to layer it right on top of this bumblebee. And it fits edge to edge, just like that. And this is actually going to layer right onto the front of the card. Where I trim that a little, let me just see. Yep, I'm going to just trim a little tiny bit off the edge of this. See, when you trim one, you have to trim them all. Okay, so now I'm going to take the cinnamon cider, and like I said, this is from the Ornate Borders dies, which is retiring. And I'm just going to run a little edge of glue, just like that. And we're going to lay this on top. But what I want to do is just make sure that when it ends on each end, it pretty much has the same loop at the end. I know, a little crazy, but it just makes it a little bit more even. And I'm actually lining it up with the dots that are on this border. So I just want to make sure it's on there right. And give that a second to dry. Okay. So then I use the scalloped oval. And this one is about 3.5 inches long. And then I also cut an oval at a basic white. Yeah, ladies, if there's any questions, if you could take care of them because the comments are not working. So we're going to stamp the sentiment, and I actually chose the Hoping You Experience Love and Joy. And I'm just going to stamp that in Memento. So let me just grab my stamp pad. And we're going to stamp this, and I usually don't cut out my ovals and then stamp because I have a tendency to stamp it crooked, but we'll give it a shot. This stamp is actually pretty big, so I'm going to just see if I can't get this on here even, and give it a stamp. Hopefully it is okay. Okay, not too bad. And then we're just going to layer this right on top of our oval. And I'm just gluing it on because I'm going to pop up the scallop layer. Oh, look at what I did. I had ink on my nail. So I'm going to fix that quick. I already did have pearls, and I know this is like sacrilegious, but I am going to take one of the large pearls, and I'm just coloring it with, I don't have Bumblebee, because Bumblebee, I don't believe, has a blend. So I'm using the Dark Mango Melody, and I am just going to see if I have my poker tool, and I don't. I am going to fix that little spot with the pearl. I did put a pearl on this one on this side, but I ended up, I'll put it on this side for this one. Quick and easy fix. Okay, so let's go back to, now that this is dry, again, I have to go back and I'm going to trim off these edges. This way I have a nice flush edge. So when I add it to the front of the card, and I'm just going to glue it, the whole layer is going to be glued onto the front of the card. And again, you can use the seal. I actually right before when I was trying to get the video started, and it wouldn't start for me. I noticed that my Stampin' Seal is empty, and I didn't want to have to pull out my refill. Oops. Okay, let's get this on again. There we go. Just gonna scoot it over a little bit. It's just okay. So there is that piece. For the oval, I'm just going to grab my dimensionals, and I'm going to actually just use up these edges. Don't ever throw your edges away. They're perfect when you're making your cards. The edges actually have quite a bit of dimensionals on them, so I always use them instead of throwing them away. They might not look pretty, but you're not going to see them, so I had a chance to, okay, so we're just going to center this, making sure it's straight. Just going to scoot it down just a little bit. Just going to hold it up a second so I can see. Okay. I've been playing with this is coming out in the new catalog, and it's called Pansy Patch. And it actually stamps these cute little pansies. Look at those faces. Such a fun stamp set. Let's see if I have another one here. And then it also has dies where you can create big pansies. It's a really fun, 20 something dies go to that stamp set, so you can really have a lot of fun. Okay, so next we're just going to grab this block really quick, and for the flower, all I did was, let me just grab a piece of paper here. Just grab a big piece. Now this I'm going to have to fussy cut. And actually, I did actually stamp it. So here's the image, and I stamped it in Memento. And I grabbed, let's see what I grabbed. Light cinnamon cider. And I grabbed the dark mango medley. And I grabbed, nope, don't do that one. The light mango medley, the light daffodil delight, and then I grabbed the old olive, dark and light. And for the little flowers, I put it away, but we're going to use the dark Highland heather. So for these little flowers, all I did was just a quick, and I didn't even fill in the complete circle. This way it looks like it's highlighted a little bit. It's an easy way to highlight. For the leaves, we're going to, this is a stem, so we're just going to color in areas of the flower, the leaf, sorry. that I believe would be in the shadow. Everything came down. I pulled it. From my Patreon class, um, we did the blends. We colored the blends for this stem. And this week I did it in pencil. And next week we'll be doing it in Copics before we do the flower head. So it's really fun. It's fun to be able to color in all the different images with 3 different mediums. Okay, so now I am just going to finish coloring in the leaf right over top of where I added my shadow. And I'm actually just doing these quickly. If I was to take my time with it, I would do it a little bit different. But because of time and I don't want to hold everybody up, I'm just going to do it a little quick. Okay, now this little spot, let me see what I did here. We're going to actually color this right here as a leaf. And I did it in light, but I'm going to add some dark. Now you'll notice I used the nib of the blends, and that's because the nib, the ink coming out of the nib end doesn't flow as fast as the brush end, and you have just a little bit more control, so you don't have to worry about it bleeding as much. Because you can see it does bleed through. So now for the flowers, I'm going to grab the cinnamon cider light, and I'm going to color in all the areas where I believe there would be a shadow. So looking at the flower, the sun is coming down straight. Anything that is behind something is going to have a shadow. And everything that's towards the top is going to be light. So it looks like this petal is sitting behind, and this petal is sitting behind. This petal looks like it's behind. This petal looks behind. So does this one. And that one looks like it's out all on its own. Now with this one's sitting behind that top flower. Same thing here. So we're just going to go around the edge on all these petals because they're sitting one on top of the other, and they will cast a shadow to the petal beneath it. Now I'm doing this really quick, and it looks terrible right now, but now we're going to take our Daffodil Delight, and using the brush this time, because I'm going to go quickly, we're just going to give these flowers a quick wash with the Daffodil Delight. Now this will blend with the cinnamon. It will not blend far enough, but it will give it a good blend. And when you color it and you look at it, you will notice that the cinnamon lightens up and it starts to run, but not enough. So that's where the light mango melody comes in. We're just going to go along the edge of the cinnamon on each of these petals, and all we're doing is blending that cinnamon out just a little bit further, adding some more color, lightening up that cinnamon, and we're going to do it on every petal wherever we added that cinnamon before. Okay, just to help blend itself out a little bit. And then we're going to go back to the daffodil, and again, we're just going to give it a quick wash. This way it blends all those colors together, gives you a little bit of dimension. And then as this dries, I'm just going to quick fussy cut this, and then I'll show you what I did to the center. Now, if you've been here before, you know I really do not like the white around the lines when you cut out an image. I didn't do it on tonight's card, but normally what I would do is take a very light gray marker and color the edges so it looks like a shadow. You really, I mean, like with the this flower here, there's so much white, it just, the white stands out too much for me. So I normally, and I'll do it on this one so you can see what I'm saying, but I'll take a light gray marker and just color over the white very quickly, not really fussing too much, just to dye down the white a little bit so it's not so harsh. Okay. I know everybody really probably doesn't like fussy cutting. I've been fussy cutting when I was on design teams for a few different companies. I worked with digital images, so I was always fussy cutting. Okay, let's see what the light gray looks like. All right, that one's pretty good. So what I do is just take the light gray. Now it looks so dark when it first goes on because it's wet. But if you just brush this over really quick, it does dry a little later. It just, and then you can go around the edge just to take away that white a little bit. And it acts as if it's a shadow. Now this marker might be just a tad too dark. I would probably go a little lighter, but it's drying pretty nice. So, and that's what I do. I just go around the whole image, take away some of that harshness, because I really don't want the white of this image I colored to stand out. I want the flower to stand out. So for the center, all I did was take a Stampin' Write marker, and this is an old chocolate chip, which we don't have anymore. But we do have another, other browns. And all I did was did a little coloring right in the center, just like that. Take a white pencil, and wherever these petals are really standing out, I'm just adding a little bit of white pencil. When you add white or lightness to your image, it makes the dark look darker. So it gives you more dimension on your images. And that's really why I do it. It just adds just a little bit more dimension to anything you color. Okay, so let's grab our card, and we're just going to pop this up. And again, I'm using the edges to my dimensionals. I don't let anything go to waste. So don't throw out your edges. Cut them up and use them for your cards. They work perfectly fine. Okay, so we're just going to line this up so you can still see your sentiment. Okay, just like that. We're going to grab our bumblebee, and you're going to hold it between your thumb and your pointer, wrap it around your two fingers, and then hold it in place. Cut enough that you can tie a nice bow. Take your tail, put it between your fingers, and then under this ribbon and back through your fingers. Take your tail, and that loop that you just created, go over and through, and pull your tail, and you have a perfect bow every time. Once you get it off your fingers, if you can check to make sure both your loops are the same exact size. I don't know what I did with my pointy tool. I love that little thing. Just going to grab a glue dot, and we're going to add it right here to the bottom of the card. Stick our bow on. Make sure we can see it, and trim it. Okay, then grab our pearls, and let's do the dark mango. I'm just going to color one more pearl here, and we're going to add these to the card. We'll put one right here. Oops. It just flew right away. Try that again. Okay, one more. And we'll stick it right there. Okay, so that's the front of our card. Let's hop to the inside. Like I said, the dimensions for this card will be on the page tomorrow. And this is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And then this layer is 1/8 of an inch smaller. You know, I'm just thinking. I don't know, that crazy. Okay, we're gonna I have a piece of the DSP from the inside, from the front of the card. We're just gonna run some glue, and again, we're just gonna layer these together, and I'm using the little dots in this die as my guide, so I know I'm putting it on straight. And we're going to just let that dry for a second. And then I have one of the little flowers from the set, Last a Lifetime. And I'm going to use the bumblebee. But I just want to, I think I said this was 3 7/8. Let me just check because I want to trim this off. 3 3/4. I just want to give it a quick little trim. And I think this will be right. Yep. Okay. So we're just going to take this piece, and again, glue it to the inside of the card. And I actually just laid it in so the ends of the die are at the end of the white. Make sure it's straight. That looks straight. And then I'm just going to take this little flower. I'll show you this card. This little flower here. And we're just going to stamp it just to pull in something else from the front of the card. Then we're going to grab some twine. A little too long. Now this twine is from the snail mail set, and it is a pretty nice thickness. So what I like to do when I tie my twine is to first tie it in a knot. It makes it a heck of a lot easier to tie your bow. And then we're just going to tie up our bow here. And then since the loops are so big, I do it intentionally. Straighten your loops out. Put your finger on that knot. And then pull your tails. When you do that, just make sure I have the right tail now. It actually straightens your loops out so they lay flat. And they're not all twisted. So now you have your nice little bow. And we're just going to add glue to each side of the twine just to give it a good anchor. And then we're going to lay this on the inside of the card. Now this is about 1/4 of an inch smaller. So you'll have a 1/4 inch on each side. And you just want to make sure that it adheres really well, because now you have the extra thickness of the twine here. And there you go. That's the first card. Now you can see, I know the light is really bad in here tonight, but you can see how on this one, and it's not really that noticeable, but it isn't as bright as this one. Okay? So that's card number 1. So let's jump to card number 2. I'm just going to turn a different light on, thinking that... What happened to the camera? Hold on. That's crazy. I walked away and the camera went wonky. Huh. Okay, hold on. It's not coming back. Look at that. Let's just see what's going on here. I don't know what happened. That's crazy. It just went completely wonky. Look at that. I'm going to close it up for a second. Hold on. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I don't know. I walked away and the crazy camera went nuts. Between not being able to see my comments, which really drives me. There it goes again. Look at that. and I can't adjust it because I'll lose the feed. Uh, Look at that. Huh. I wonder what that is, why it's causing that. Okay, let's see if we can't get this done. So we're going to go to card number 2. Again, same size card base, 8.5 by 5.5. Scored at 4 1/4. And I think the frustrating thing is that I did up my internet. So, look at that. That is so crazy. Okay, if it keeps doing it. So this one we're gonna lay landscapes with like a landscape, and again the bumblebee, the daffodil delight, and the art floral designer series paper. Now with this layer, you're actually able to see what the paper looks like. It's very abstract, and it's perfect for the daffodil delight and the bumblebee because it has all the same colors in it. And here's our card here. The only thing I'm going to do different on this one that I really don't like on the first one I did is when I stamp these images, tonight I'm going to stamp off. I think I'm just not too happy with the way that looks. So I think if I stamp it off, it'll look a little better. So I have a layer of the bumblebee, which I'm going to pop up on the top of the card. Isn't that crazy? And for the white layer, we're going to grab the stamp, and we're going to grab the bumblebee. I'm just going to get this out of the way for a second and grab a piece of scrap paper. And that is not scrap. Just like that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, now when you're stamping, you can see I have a layer of paper and then I have a layer of my scrap paper. You want to make sure that when you're stamping that you don't have the edge of the paper underneath your cardstock because it will show. So we're going to stamp this image, ink it up. We're going to stamp, and then we're going to stamp our card. And I'm just going to angle it in the corner. And it really is still very bright. And I'm just going to turn it and ink it up, stamp off, and again stamp it right in the corner. Just like that. Now for the sentiment, I have you are special, and I'm going to stamp it in Memento. But what I want to do is just grab my frame, just eyeball where I think I need my sentiment, because I want to get it pretty much in the center. And again, we're going to hope that we get this on here straight. And we're just going to center this right in the center of the card, going over the flowers. And there we go. So I have the frame, the ornate frame, detailed bands dies, like I said, which are retiring. And I'm just going to add some glue to this whole tab, just like that. And we're going to layer it on the front so our sentiment is centered. I'm just going to lift it up so I can make sure it's on here straight. And that looks pretty good, actually. And then I'm just going to hold it and wrap it right around and tuck it under so it holds it in place. Okay. Grab the front of our card, and we're going to take this layer, and again, just make sure you get enough glue where these tabs are. And then layer these two together. It's only going to be a little tiny 1/8 of an inch edge. I'm going to make sure it's on here even. Okay, and then we're going to pop it up. Let me see if I have a new sheet of pop-ups. I think this one is actually from one of my paper pumpkin kits. And we're just going to pop this up onto the front of the card. These are really quick and easy. Last night I went to bed not knowing what I was going to create today. So I was up in the middle of the night trying to think of what I was going to do. It was a cross between something like this or a one-sheet wonder. I know this time of the year, many of us, before the new catalog comes out, have so many designer series papers that, we haven't used. So I thought, wow, one sheet wonder would be a good idea. But I just wasn't happy with what I was coming up with. So we did this. So if you'd like to see some one-sheet wonder cards, I have an idea for making 6 cards out of one sheet of designer series paper and cardstock, of course. Let me know in the comments after the video is over. I'll go through to say hello and answer any questions you may have. Because like I said, my comments are not working, and I'm very sorry. Seems like every week. Last week they worked. This week they're not. So go figure. Okay, so now we trimmed off our tails. We're going to grab our pearls again, and we'll do the light mango. Let's color up one large one, and we'll do 2 medium. Don't you just love that you can use your blends and coordinate your pearls? It's just so much fun. Because you can even do it to the clear. You can color those too. Okay, so we're going to put one here. And then we'll just put one right there. Okay, so there's the outside of your card. For the inside, very, very simple. We just have a layer of bumblebee, a layer of white, and the same DSP from the front of the card. And we're just going to add this to the side. I know it's a little long. I do it on purpose so I can trim it. Gives me a chance to move it around. This time I got the glue on the back. I did clean my cutter because that was a mess. And then we're going to grab that little flower again and our Bumblebee ink. Get rid of the memento. And we're going to just stamp this little flower over here in this corner. Layer this on. Now, I don't know if anyone saw on my blog, but right now with all the in colors, I have an in color club going on where for 5 months you'll get some in color products. Let me just pull the paper so you can see before I finish the inside. This is Fresh Freesia. It's very pretty color. And then we have Polished Pink, Soft Succulent, Pale Papaya, and Evening Evergreen. Now for the In Color Club, you'll get a full pack of paper, an ink pad, the blends, an ink refill, and a roll of, a spool of the ribbon. I'm thinking off the top of my head. And that you'll get every month. And then for the first month, you'll get the Stampin' Write markers for free. The third month, you'll get something else for free. This 5th month, you'll get another free gift. And then you'll get on the 5th month, when you're all finished. Uh-oh, there it goes again. Come on. This is crazy. There it goes. For the 5th month, there are 2 bonus gifts that you'll get just for sticking around for the whole 5 months. So you get a lot of product for a little bit, a small fee every month, and it's done through PayPal. You create the payment plan in your, your PayPal account. This way I'm not going to be sending invoices. It'll be automatic. And as soon as I receive the payment, I will get the product in the mail. And that'll start at the beginning of May. So if you're interested, head on over to my blog and you can get all the details there. And then next week I'll be announcing a paper and ribbon share. So if you're interested in getting some sample products and you don't want to spend a lot of money, I'm going to have a few different options. This way you can save on shipping, or if you want certain things. So keep an eye out for that announcement. And again, if you place an order by Sunday night of $35 before tax and shipping, you'll get the make and takes for these 2 cards and, oops, the swag bag that I showed at the beginning. It's 24 sheets of 6x6 paper, a dozen mulberry flowers, a Stampin' Spot, foam tape, and double-sided tape. And that's just a free gift from me. And then you'll get your make and takes. Okay, so we made it. Crazy camera. Fluff up my little bows. And here are tonight's cards. So I hope you like them. Thanks, ladies, for stopping in tonight. Sorry I wasn't able to answer your questions. Like I said, for some reason, my comments aren't working. So I will probably be jumping on tomorrow to show you some new products. I know you got a little taste tonight, but I'll show you a few more things I got this in my order. So have a great night. Thanks so much for joining me and spending time. I really do appreciate it. And if you know anybody that you think would enjoy the video, please share it. Once I start getting more people sharing, I'll be doing the giveaway again. So have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow. And thanks for joining. Bye-bye.